Welcome to Best Kept Secrets Travel, episode 20. My name's Morgan.
And my name's Will, and on today's episode we're going to be talking about the pros and cons, what they are, why you should do them, and how you should train for them.
Of what?
Adventure and obstacle races.
Oh, very exciting.
So, let's roll the intro.
Right.
Best friends, and that's for life. Who stay traveling? I'm talking worldwide. 65 countries between the two. Every moment is so unbelievable. Sharing the best kept secrets about the trips and mistakes they made that they can't forget. So tell me if you're ready for a time to remember as they gear up for the next adventure. Yeah. Woo! Best kept secrets travel.
Before we run off with our definitions and reason behind why you should do an adventure and obstacle race, we are going to quickly run you through why and how.
Please stop. This is going to be a painful episode.
All podcast channels, YouTube. You just need to click that subscribe, that little notification bell, so you're always alerted when these amazing snippets of information come online. Then also you need to go on all our podcast channels, which are on Castro, Apple Spotify,
Podbean, everything.
Almost everything now.
Everything. Google Podcasts as well.
We've also got Instagram, and our TikTok now.
We have the TikTok.
Is instantaneous.
It is exciting.
Which is Best Kept Secrets Travel,
yes.
All one word.
Yes, it's very exciting. So I guess we're going to kick today's episode off with, for you who don't know what it quite is, what is an adventure or obstacle race? Not sure. So I'd probably say it's a race. It's essentially a distance where you go over obstacles. It's a bit like an assault course, which you did.
The obstacle race it is.
Yes.
An adventure race is more about changing through different terrains and challenges, going from water to land to then maybe more jungle and different things like that, whereas an obstacle race is more specifically based around having a normal set distance. It's usually more in a trail run format, so it'll be through muddy forests and hills, but then the main focus is on the obstacles themselves.
Yeah, and with most of these brands you can do 5-kilometre ones with obstacles, 10 kilometres, and then 15 to half marathon. And if you want to go even further, most brands do infinity races as well, which is where you just keep going. It's a bit tiring, that.
Yeah, there were people in yesterday's event, which we did, which was
yesterday?
A 15-kilometre Tough Mudder.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing the infinity, and some of those guys were 60 kilometres, 70 kilometres.
And that's doing 120 obstacles at 60 kilometres.
Which is knackering. Not sure how they do it.
That's very tiring, but at least they got the sort of ice pool to get cool again. So why do you think you should do an obstacle race or even an adventure race?
I think a lot of people out there, when they think of fitness or running, they think it's very boring.
Yes.
Typically.
I agree.
They think running is...
Do you agree?
They think running, why is it just going along a road or along a track and not much happens? Whereas I think the whole having an obstacle, which has now become even more famous from the likes of Total Wipeout and Ninja Warrior, it's really come together and intertwine that into a race to add more fun to it. And that's why...
It puts the fun in fun race.
Yeah, and Tough Mudder I think is more aimed at the general population of people who aren't necessarily trying to be athletes as such, but want to go out, do something active, but have a lot of fun and be in an environment of a lot of fun, where it's more about teamwork rather than a solo fitness challenge. And that's why they also call it a challenge and not a race, which will also come under their licensing terms.
Exactly. So you've mentioned one of them here, but we'll do it again. What are the main two brands, for example, in the UK?
So you've got Tough Mudder, which I've already mentioned, and then you've got Spartan Race. They're the two significant brands in the UK at the moment, and they've now got so big that Spartan Race has actually bought Tough Mudder and now runs it as a subsidiary.
But and these events go on worldwide, and there are also lots of other brands that do this. So there's What was the Swedish one you were
There's
talking
Tough
about?
Viking, which does a lot of Sweden. I think potentially other parts of Scandinavia. I think it does Norway and Finland. And that's very similar to sort of combination between Tough Mudder and Spartan Race.
Yeah. And these are really interesting and fun challenges to do for both you and your friends. And we spoke about it in episode 3 of season 1 in our Australia deep dive. We went out to Australia and we actually did a run there. We did a 10-kilometre run down the Sunshine Coast. And we both just feel that it's very fun and challenging to actually, if you do get the opportunity when you're abroad or in a different country, to go and do these events. So if we were in Scandinavia, we'd very much like to do a tough Viking.
Yeah, I'd go and do a Tough Viking. It's just different. It looks like it'd be a very different format and just good fun to
Which make it
try it.
exciting.
And it'd be a completely different atmosphere. We won't be able to understand a lot of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But then the environment you're in will be quite fun, and the actual scenery, because yesterday's Tough Mudder, we were running around and we could see a castle half the time.
Yeah. So speaking about yesterday's Tough Mudder, let's start going through what we did yesterday.
A Tough Mudder.
Yeah. Well, we woke up at 5:30 a.m. ish. Well, I did, and then I woke you up.
Yeah.
Like slightly later, and then we got the fantastic news.
Our train was cancelled.
Woo! That was great. That was really great. So we could have had more of a lie-in.
Yeah.
And we then got a different train half an hour later, which was actually going a slightly different route, but it didn't matter. But we went from Surrey all the way up to Grantham. Well, yeah, we did.
We did.
We did.
And that was enjoyable. So it was around
very fun.
2.25 hours train up there. Then we managed to find a taxi, which took another 15 minutes.
What did you think of the taxi driver? It was. I thought it was a fantastic.
He's a ball of energy. He got us quite
fantastic start. He did. Fantastic start to our trip up in Grantham. He got us extremely excited.
High energy.
High energy. And the Tough Mudder itself. And he knew all the secrets of Grantham. Like the back entrance codes to the castles that didn't work. And we then got to the Spartan.
We did get to Spartan.
And we got pretty views.
It felt like a small festival. Very different to...
Yeah, different vibes.
Well, not Spartan, Tough Mudder.
Yeah.
We got to Tough Mudder, Morgan, not the Spartan.
Yeah.
It was very different feeling to the Spartan race.
Yeah.
Spartan race being actually defined and allowed to be called a race, and it's a timed event, had a very quite intense atmosphere. And
yeah.
You were there
and there was a Spartan there. They brought him back to life.
Yeah, exactly. And he was absolutely shredded.
He was shredded. The Tough Mudder guy was shredded. He was just wearing clothes. But he was shredded.
It's a very different atmosphere from the get-go. If we're directly comparing the two events, Spartan race is very much not based around teamwork, not based around taking your time. It's very much go, 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 trying to be physically pushing yourself.
Finish at all costs and...
No skipping obstacles.
No skipping obstacles.
Otherwise you get punished.
You have to do 30 burpees if you
Or
fail
some
an
of the
obstacle.
obstacles have extended running.
Have a penalty lap, yeah. Which makes it a lot of fun. But so we got to the start of the Tough Mudder. We ran off, as per usual. Will runs off ahead when we're trying to set up a photo or something. And the first obstacle was crawling under barbed wire, which is a similar...
The first one on Tough Mudder.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first obstacle, and then...
It's similar to what we did in the Spartan race, except the Spartan
race was uphill.
Yeah, the Tough Mudder one was under barbed wire, under just muddy, squishy mud. The Spartan race was just uphill.
On grass.
On grass.
Much longer, though.
Much longer, more tiring.
And you couldn't actually get up.
Yeah.
The Tough Mudder one, the barbed wire was too far apart.
Yeah. And then the next obstacle we went to, I won't be able to remember every obstacle in order. The next obstacle was this, it was a small pond thing with trenches, so you can't actually see, it's like muddy water. You can't actually see the ground.
Yeah.
And
Pitfall.
Yeah. And we just were walking through, and then there are people
All
falling
of a sudden
over.
you drop half a metre.
Yeah. That was great fun. So that was more fun.
And all the obstacles through Tough Mudder are more based around actually having a bit of a laugh. That way, I think with Spartan Race, it's always going to be fun. It's an obstacle, and you feel like a kid again in a playground. But
so much fun. Adult playground.
Based around a lot of physical exertion.
Mm-hmm.
So the rope climbs, a lot of people couldn't do them. The Atlas carry, a lot of people couldn't do it because it was just so heavy and you're physically exhausted because it's one of the last things you do. I think there's a lot of that in the Spartan Race which people doing the Tough Mudder wouldn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Because that tough Mudder is based around having a laugh, having a lot of teamwork there and getting involved together. Spartan races, you can go around with a couple of people, but at the end of the day, it is down to you doing that activity on your own.
Yeah, and also, so as you were saying, doing it on your own. So in the Tough Mudder, then one of the next obstacles was a broken obstacle, which was slightly annoying.
Which one? Oh, the
pushing over
Loch Ness monster or something.
Yeah, so this is a huge object, huge rectangle in the water.
Yeah.
Kind of. And basically it just spins on an axis. And so you go in the water, and the water's about 5 foot deep, and you've got to jump up and grab onto it. And to get over, you can't do it yourself, because if you go on, jump on it, it will just roll back down. Will, being himself, tried to go ahead, tried to do it himself.
Fling myself over. Nothing about teamwork.
Failed miserably. And then we had to, as a team, try and actually, we got people to hold on to the edge, and then you have some people push those people over. And then when you get on the top, you got to turn around, grab the edge, and hold it whilst the other people are trying to get over, rather than jumping straight off like some people did.
Yes.
And then what was the next obstacles we did? There was the Slippy Monkey Bar.
Slippy Monkey Bar?
Yeah.
What was that?
The monkey bars where we slipped.
Slippy Monkey Bar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awful.
That was silly.
They either should have had grip on them, or they should have been dried, or they should have timed the water obstacle differently to that.
I don't think the water obstacle should be directly before.
And that's definitely a note. I think the thought process, and it's weird that we now know that they're owned now both by Spartan.
Although I think that's quite recent, so they're potentially not.
2020.
Yeah, but I don't think they would have made that many changes due to COVID.
I just think it's surprising that the thought process in the Spartan course was very good. The thought process in the Tough Mudder, and this is a major point, I didn't think it was that good. I thought the fact that the first water station, there were 3 water stations in the whole race.
So we did a 15-kilometre race.
And there were 3 water stations in the race, and the first one came at around 8.5 kilometres. The second one came at around...
Which is about 11. An hour and a half, 2 hours in. And because you're going in so much mud, it's really hard to take snacks, food and drinks around with you.
Yeah, and the second station was about 11 kilometres and the third one's 13 kilometres. So all of a sudden it was all clumped into one bit. By which point actually you then go past the water station and you go, I don't really need water.
Yeah, so the 8.5 kilometre station, there were so many people. They were actually struggling for workers and volunteers to be there and actually hand out and fill out the water, and they said they were running out of the water. By the time you get to the 13-kilometre one, no one was there. No one was doing anything. No one was taking any drink. And the other silly thing they did there was they cut the bananas in half, which meant that all the bananas just looked black and no one wanted them.
Yeah, it was all...
Didn't make sense.
I think with...
How was the flapjack?
I didn't need a whole flapjack either. It's enormous. I threw away half of it.
So potentially wrong snacks as well.
Yeah, and
The banana was good.
the obstacles on Tough Mudder, I don't remember seeing a single injury when we did the Spartan race.
I ran into barbed wire.
Yeah,
It wasn't to do with an obstacle.
but you didn't need medical attention. Yesterday, I think we saw maybe 4 or 5 people have medical attention.
Yeah. Do you think that's because of the
I think-
obstacles itself or the type of people who do
So
the course?
the first injury we saw
Slippy monkey bar.
was a combination of the fact that monkey bars were slippy,
Mm-hmm.
which was stupid, combined with the fact that those things happen. Some of the other ones I do believe are down to the lack of safety precaution and just common sense on the other designs of the other obstacles. The Everest obstacle cut everyone's knees because the way they designed it was that you're basically scraping yourself up this wall whilst everyone's pushing you up. But they'd actually layered sheets of what I assume is ABS or PVC on top of it. So there was always a tiny ledge, but when you're scraping up that's always going to cut you.
Mm.
So they had poor design there, combined with the fact they had so many people trying to get up this. They had absolutely nothing on either side of it, and I almost saw 2 different people fall off the side, which would have been a 3-metre drop onto hard ground.
Yeah, so there are quite a few obstacles that are very teamwork based.
I didn't see that's a note. I didn't see a single crash mat yesterday. Spartan race, after every single obstacle where you're coming down to protect your knees and your fall, there was always a mini crash mat. Even after the really simple ladders, on the far side, there was always a little crash mat to come on or off.
That's a good point. So lots of the obstacles in the Spartan race involve teamwork. So as Will was explaining one of the obstacles there, it's a really long slippy wall and you've got to help people up. So people are like standing on top of each other and you're just pushing them up, and then you've got to push their feet up to actually get to the top. And there were other ones. So we had the water one, we had that one. Were there any other team ones?
Well, the team ones were quite a few.
What other team
You
ones?
had poker hands, where you're holding each other's hands.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's another team one.
Oh, the ski one. Put your feet in.
The walking plank one. Walking plank, poker hands, Everest. I guess Black Widow wasn't teamwork, even though you're sort of all intertwined, so you sort of
Just throwing people around.
can coordinate. I'm trying to work it out.
The other weird thing that happened was really, really deep edges.
Mud mile. Teamwork. There was teamwork in that.
Oh yeah, lots of people. We didn't use it, but lots of people
No, there was
did.
teamwork in mud mile.
Yeah, definitely. The other really weird thing was some of the edges when running up the walls being really deep.
When? Oh, on the warped wall.
On the warped wall, there was
Trying to reach back to get
the other
yourself
one
up.
was the Matterhorn. It was quite deep.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that. The warped wall is the Matterhorn one.
No, the warped wall's different to the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn was the big rope all the way up and down.
Oh, right at the end, right
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah.
Yeah. What about
That's
that
the
one?
Matterhorn.
What did you find?
That
with
one had a deep one as well.
Did it?
Yeah, it wasn't as deep, but it was deep.
Okay, yeah, I don't
Because
know.
I put my hand on thinking I'd be able to grip, and then I was just like that.
Oh.
I had to go over.
That's what I did.
So yeah, we did the warped wall.
That's another team helping one.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. And we ran all the way up. We grabbed it, and you grab it, and then you realise you're not at the edge. The edge is about 30 odd centimetres behind that. So people run up, they grab it, they think they've got it easily, and then they realise they don't have a grip, and you suddenly see this internal panic within them, and they just reach forward, don't they?
Yeah,
It was weird. It wasn't hard as such, it was just weird.
I think that's what I came away from Tough Mudder as an event. The aspect I loved was if you feel that you don't want to go and do something super competitive that you physically haven't trained massively for, I think Tough Mudder is perfect. You can do it in a big group. Spartan race is very hard to do in a big group.
Mm-hmm.
And that aspect I really liked, and it
There
felt
was
like
a lot of
festival
queuing.
and a big family event. There was so much queuing. I think the obstacles were not as well designed or built. Plus, I think their safety
Well Swung was fun.
wasn't as
Water
good.
was fun.
I think Well Swung was a good concept, but the fact that all the swings swung differently, and the guy at the end, even the marshal watching, even said to you, "No, go on that one," shows that he's seen that they're swinging differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's that weird consistency in the race. But if you're looking for a fun event and a good starter event into the adventure and obstacle race, I think Tough Mudder is a good one.
I think it's a good thing to do with like a work group.
Yeah, and there were all I'll call them a memorial group, but there were groups of, 6, 10, 15 people in one big group
Yeah, they were really
doing
nice
it to remember
see.
someone.
And there is a very important obstacle actually that we haven't spoken about, and there's two of these, and it's the electric obstacles in the Tough Mudder.
There was
electric eel,
and shock therapy.
electric shock therapy. So electric eel is essentially you're crawling
It's
under.
an army crawl.
It's an army crawl, and then there's dangling wires coming down, and you can avoid a lot of them, but you won't be able to avoid them all. And it electrocutes you. It literally electrocutes you.
Yeah.
And we didn't think it'd be too bad, and we both came out of electric eel thinking that really
Yeah, actually,
hits harder than I expected.
It was quite funny though.
It was a lot of fun. It's one of those obstacles that you could stand and watch people do all day.
Which one?
Both of them.
Yeah, and the shame was because it was so windy.
So that was the next
for
obstacle.
the electroshock therapy, which if you look up Tough Mudder, this is almost the this is the
Their USP.
picture child
almost,
of it, effectively, is the end of the race when you run through a whole box where there's all these dangling pieces of string which can electrocute you. And because it was so windy, most of them were almost horizontal. So many, I don't know, 95% of people ran down the right knowing that they weren't going to get shocked.
Which was a shame. But we went down the left, we walked down, we
purposely got shocked.
We got shocked a lot of times. They don't shock you constantly. So there was a point where I was just touching it and I was just feeling it and going, this is strange. I'm not actually getting shocked. And then it jolted me. And then I moved very much forward into a few more, got shocked again. And it made me lose control of my legs. And I actually went down to my knees. And then I got shocked again. And I was face first in the floor. And then I get up and like everyone's laughing at me because there's loads of people watching. And I go to run and try and do it again and I fall over again. And then I get up, just about make it through. As I'm making it through, I get it in the back again and it makes me drop to my knees. And you can just hear the guy in the background, because I've got it all on the GoPro, the guy in the background going, well, your mate obviously doesn't care about your well-being. Because Will, of course, has run off in front and he's just, I
was done. I saw the finish
he's done.
line.
Another cool...
I saw this headband.
Yeah, saw the headband.
And if you
he wanted the headband.
want to know what the headband looks like, but you're listening to us on Spotify or any other podcast platform, I recommend jumping on YouTube and just checking us out. We're looking good. Orange headbands, orange headbands, and I've got my Spartan race beast finish at top because I'm a beast.
He thinks he's a beast. The other cool activity and event that we did was Arctic Enema.
Yes.
Which
Morgan,
is
do you want to explain that before people start thinking that you do weird things in your spare time?
In the Arctic. So this is essentially, you go down a slide into an ice bath. There's not much more to it.
Yep.
Than that. I nearly swore there. I was about to say it's very freezing.
It's cold.
It's really cold. We were fine when we got in, but then you have to go under
and then that gives you
a barrier, and that gives you brain freeze.
3 to 5 seconds of brain freeze, I'd say.
Yeah. But we trained for this. We went to Cornwall specifically to train for this.
I think Cornwall actually made it easier.
I agree.
It made me used to then jumping in cold water.
Yeah, I agree. It was absolutely fine. And we finished the race. We got the headbands. You get a different headband for each race that you complete. And then we walked around the festival park, which was quite cool, which we'll call it like that. There's Bucking Bronco, Fireball, whiskey.
Yeah, it just felt like a mini festival. There were loads of food stalls, everything, and in comparison, Spartan Race there are a couple places where you could get food.
They did have my master.
There was a massage station, a few promotional stations, and that was sort of it.
Yeah, it was kind of more like genuine sports and related to the Spartan race.
Yeah.
It was like recovery gels and things like that, whereas the Tough Mudder was whiskey, Bucking Bronco, cheesy chips.
There was a
bar.
There wasn't a bar. The bar at Spartan Race was 0 alcohol.
Yeah.
I think the Spartan Race...
The seltzers was at both of them.
Yeah. But the bar did...
was popular.
Not the bar, the Spartan Race, I think, because of the intensity of it and the distance of the races they offer, and the fact you have the trifectas and everything, I think that does bring in a very serious level of athlete, whereas you only really saw them in the Tough Mudder doing the Infinity Race.
Yeah.
And even some of the Infinity Race athletes, I wouldn't say were super duper fit. They looked like they've run a 15k then a 5k loop. Some of them, on the other hand, were running 3 or 4 15k loops.
Yeah, they're 60, 70k, quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Which is
painful to think.
Tiring. And I think physically wise, when we came out of the Tough Mudder, we didn't feel as tired. We weren't as broken.
No.
Whereas Tough Mudder could barely, my grip was just gone.
Yeah.
By the end of it. And I felt physically broken because you're going up and downhill all the time. Whereas the only really up and down here was the gorilla obstacle, which is where you just walk up and down hills.
Yeah.
That was the only actual proper hill. The rest there wasn't much hill.
Yeah, there was sort of light hill, nothing like the Spartan Race.
And the Spartan Race as well is Tough Mudder. They'll do it at nice times of year. Spartan Races, it's like we're gonna wait till the winter. We'll do it then.
We're going to purposely order the worst weather you can imagine.
Yeah.
It's going to be raining. It's going to be freezing cold. Oh, didn't we do ours in December?
I think we did it late October. It was late October, yeah.
I can't remember. I thought it was later than that.
No.
So how would you train for it?
How would you train for which? In general, or for Tough Mudder specifically, or
Spartan Race?
So for Spartan Race, I think the majority running is not the issue in these. I think.
Well, for some people it could be.
I think
get some time underfoot.
Yeah,
we did the half marathon.
You need to get mileage on your feet, just in general.
Yeah,
but
whether it's walking or running, but get used to uneven terrain. Don't just walk and run on roads.
Very much. So your kit that you have is very important. So
yeah,
trail shoes, a good pair of shoes is very important to get through an event like this. I'd say training-wise, what I was saying was running is not the main focus. The main focus probably should be actually your grip strength. So doing something like rock climbing, gymnastics, parkour, going to one of those Ninja Warrior courses. I know there's one in Watford. Or we did a Bear Grylls course in Croydon. So those sorts of things, they're excellent training. I think lots of the other sort of training you should do is like body weight, like trying to get used to being on your hands and holding yourself up.
I'm just an advocate for rock climbing, to be honest. I think if you ran and you rock climbed consistently, it will massively help your grip strength.
Yeah.
Because some of the weight activities,
running
there'll be
helps the
people out
grip
there
strength.
who have spent a lot of time in the gym or are just physically capable of lifting the required weight for it. But I think building up that grip strength and climbing is one of the greatest ways of doing it, because you're constantly changing size of grip and putting yourself through the paces. I think that's one of the best ways for it.
Well, so I think what we agree on is essentially that just building up general strength is not necessarily the best way forward for training for these events,
Some people
even though
agree.
you should. It's not the best, is what we're saying.
No, because
That
rock climbing
was what I
is
said.
good cardio and strength building.
But-
do.
You always told me you just sat around watching people
I'm saying
climb.
you could do that, but if you're actually training and you are climbing regularly, then you will build up a lot of strength through it.
Yeah, I think a gym exercise in general that was very important to try and have if you can is try and teach yourself or get as close as you can to being able to do a pull up.
Yeah,
Spartan race, you will really struggle without being able to do one, because if you can't do one, then each obstacle you're failing, and you will fail
what, for a pull up?
without being able to do a pull up. You would end up having to do 30 burpees, and that would
You could just get really good at burpees.
that could also work. So how many? What, that was 30 times 30. My brain is tired.
900 Morgan.
Yeah. You could just train to be able to do 900 burpees.
No,
in
you
a
wouldn't need to.
half.
Because some of the obstacles you can't avoid, like the swimming one. You have to do the swim. The going through the lake.
True. That
And
is
quite
true.
a few obstacles, you'd have to be really quite unfit or incapable to avoid.
Or maybe, what if you... No, because then you wouldn't be able to do burpees. I was going to say broke your wrist and couldn't do the...
I think you'd be stopping the race. Morgan, you wouldn't get through it.
Just take a day.
So I think climbing, bodyweight exercises, if you're into parkour or calisthenics, and go with something like that. But that general basis of being able to capably hold your body's key. There are some strength exercises, so Atlas carry. You need a good sort of minimum strength level. Be comfy with being able to pick up 50 kilos as a ball off the ground.
Yeah, and with the Spartan race, there was also just general mental uncomfortable obstacles like the sandbag carry, which is where you're holding
About 30 kilos.
a reasonably heavy sandbag up and down hills, slippy hills, and it's quite long, and it's just uncomfortable, and you've got to just be able to deal with being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's essentially the tip.
Yeah.
The tip there. So
Hashtag seek discomfort. Shout out to yesterday.
yeah. So if we're going to wrap this up, what would be the races that you'd be looking to do in the future?
I'd like to find a more unique race.
Unique in obstacles or adventure?
Either.
Well, anyway, we think it has a lot of obstacles. This is our next challenge that we want to try and do.
And we'll probably give an update.
Yeah, we'll probably give an update of one of our deaths or both. Be a great way to go. And I think this is about time to roll the outro.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I hope that you can handle going on adventures, best kept secret travels. Yeah, all over the globe, having fun, you know the deal. Amazing secret locations, hang out with Morgan and Will. Educate and entertain, haggle in the market, sharing their experiences. Time to get it started. Let's go.